so let me make sure I'm squared away. There I am. They see me. All right, hello, welcome everyone. We're actually starting the recording for our first Canvas lab. We're going to be going over getting started orientation and what we learned from Unit 1. We've actually started having a very good conversation before this recording actually started. So it's going. Before we get going, excuse me, forgive me, my voice is a little off today, so bear with me as I try to get going with that. So actually with today, and actually we have gentleman Alan Ringa is actually joining us online. So Alan, if you have any questions, if you can hear me, hopefully if you can hear me, if you have any questions, you can post those in the chat and I'll check those every so often. Speaking of Zoom, Zoom is a web application that I'm actually using to record this presentation. And as we can see, we can have instructors join from the comfort of their own office or home. It's his mic. I can actually unmute him. I don't know if he did that intentionally. I don't know if the actual mic is working on the speakers. I don't know if Alan, if you can hear me. He might not be there.
How do you guys connect?
In the announcement that I sent out, I had sent out if we're having the room, it's going to be in our room. You could also join via Zoom, and I had the link there in the actual announcement.
There's 4 here.
Yeah. So first off, before I get into that, so the address, if everybody actually wants to use Zoom for their own purposes, for your own classes and maybe office hours for your students, you can go to conferzoom.org.
It's free for a certain amount of data.
I think it's free. I mean, I got the pro version and I've been doing fine. It's been free.
G doesn't. It has 2 versions. There's a smaller version and there's what they call the professional. So this is free.
Yeah, this is as far as so far it's been free.
G, yeah.
Yeah.
My mini videos.
The ones that I sent. So Michael Golden had some questions over the week, and I sent him some 5-minute recordings to answer his questions. It was a lot easier to do that than do a worded, an overwritten email. And the program that actually does these less than 5-minute recordings is Jing. And in the announcements later today, I'll actually post a link to this tool where you can download this for your own support. Yes?
Did you send it to him through Canvas?
Conversation box. So actually with Jing, when we went through here, let me go into the messages here. Let's see if I can find Michael Golden.
I only have 2.
So this is the message. Michael Golden had asked me about questions about, he had some questions about the discussion board and the conversations inbox. And so I recorded the video via Jing. That takes me to this video right here. And our audio's not working. Okay, because you should be able to hear that. Let me turn that up. So audio is not working here. I don't know if that's muted or not. Well, anyways, you get the idea. You'd have the idea of the video and it goes through the instruction.
So I assume that when you're talking about audio, can you do a video? Or is it
That is a video and it has audio, but the audio is supposed to be coming through this speaker right here. We're supposed to. Yeah, it did. It did show up. The cursor was moving. It's just the audio that wasn't playing. So when I was going.
So if I'm signing, can I video myself?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can. Yeah, you can.
I didn't see it.
All right, so those are quick tools. I'll post them in. But for the scope of the day, let's get into the nature of the course. We've had a lot of questions this morning, and we want to get started. Couple things that I want to get some business out of the way. I want to make note. I want to make clear that we all understand. So based on everybody's feedback this week, I made a change on the assignment deadlines. So originally I had the unit started on Monday. Assignments were due by 11:59 on Friday. It's now 11:59 on Sunday. So you folks have the weekend to actually finish your actual work, which means with that extension, I'll be more stringent on the actual late work policy that's listed. as well. Obviously, if you have any other extenuating circumstances, something comes up and you weren't able, family emergency over the weekend, and you're not able to do it, please, as long as you're upfront and communicate with me ahead of time as far as the nature where you're at with your projects or your assignments, I'll be more than happy to make any accommodations for that. Also, as we know, I hope as we go through, I hope to get through most of the grades today and over the weekend, but moving forward or progression in each module is dependent on when I actually grade your assignment. So when you actually have an assignment, if you've moved forward, Randy's done this a couple of times. Hey, Chris, I completed, my first getting started. Can you grade them? And then I'll get on it if you have the effort to move on and move ahead. So moving forward, the request today was for the actual workshop was to actually do kind of like a little review. So Michael, when you said a little review, is there any specific things that you wanted to point out, or?
A little bit of navigating. And that's part of, I can't be real specific because I'm still trying to find where I'm at.
Mm-hmm.
So I was just thinking of just the basic, what you would do again, a 5-minute overview of how to navigate.
I haven't navigated yet, okay.
But you just showed something on my.
What, as far as what I
Well,
just, what I would, so.
Your name for a minute.
Actually, what I was doing was I was on the announcements, and I was pointing out what I was actually doing was doing this important change on assignment deadline. That's what I was actually there. I was showing that announcement that I had actually made.
I don't see that. Oh, there it is. Okay.
Michael,
Yeah.
do you teach online currently?
No.
So an interesting thing, because this is my second chemistry course, so one of the things that I had a hard time with was in Blackboard, it seems like you can just click and figure things out. This doesn't look familiar to me, so I'm not clicking in the right places to figure things out. And in the first one, I kept thinking, how is a student, first time online, going to even figure out where to go to even learn what I couldn't learn in that first Canvas course? So the navigation for, if you've been in here, it is okay. But if you haven't, it's like, whoa, there's like so
It's new,
many things.
and the biggest challenge is for Blackboard users because they're trying to break what you're, yeah. No, yeah.
Just looking at this, there's a million things, and it's like, where do I click first? Oh my gosh.
That's not where I'm at
Right,
right now. And I
right.
guess some of that you just got to keep doing it. But like you said, when I got students, each time. So I think that I taught the first online course in 2000. And I still think the philosophy keep it simple. Which I'm hoping I'll be able to do. Your points are okay. That's kind of where I'm at right now is.
Oh, we have audio. All right, so let me kind of explain some of that in the beginning. So first off, also we've had 2 semesters now. About 20 instructors teach. I can't think of the actual numbers of how many students that equates to off the top of my head, but we haven't had any student issues so far or any complaints as far as actually how to navigate Canvas. So the general idea is when you actually set up a course, you actually have your home page. Home page is the starting board of where everything goes off. I have key shortcuts to the actual announcements, the syllabus, the modules, and discussions. The reason why I actually have these buttons actually here, and I show you how to create these buttons in Unit 2, is if you look in the top right-hand corner, right next here, I call this the hamburger button. Sometimes faculty and students will click, if you click on that button, you see the menu, my course menu on this side actually disappears. When that disappears, I get calls. So if that happens, students have the ability to actually sit here and still navigate the course. Also, on a mobile device, whether it's an iPhone or an Android phone, when you're using the Canvas application, you don't have that course menu on the side. Your home page is actually what comes up first. And so having quick access to these buttons gives students quick access to the announcements.
This is exactly what I mean, kind of a review.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is good. So you built those in there.
So I built these in here. And then what I actually have here, I have quick links to the very first page of each module that I've actually created. So the idea here is, number one, here's the getting started orientation here. And that's where students click, and they actually click, and they're actually going to go to the actual first page. And the idea is this video would give you an idea on how to get started in the actual course so you don't feel as overwhelmed. And then throughout the actual module, they would just click through and click through and click through.
So currently, what I do, like 2 days before the semester starts, is I send an email to the web advisor and say, welcome to the course. Here's when you have to log in by, or I'm going to do a student not involved in the course. And I think what I'm going to add is, here's the first step, the second step, the third step, and that's it.
Right.
In the email before, so this isn't what first spelled in for me.
Right. And yeah, that's a good point. Now, Michael, let's say, for example, right now, you start with the orientation right now, and you stop at 0.3. You have other obligations, you have another class to get to and everything else. When you come back to the course and you start off at the actual home button, it's not a point where you actually sit here and say getting started orientation and then to go down here and then click next, next, next to get back to where you left off. So that's where you go back as you started an actual module. You can, and then you log in for the second time, you can click on the modules link and then you can get back to where you're actually, where you actually last left off. So I can. So then I could go back here on note on notifications, and then I continue from where I left off. Also, where you actually notice too, I'm going to go into student view real quick. So usually when I go into student view in the course menu settings, I'm going to click on the actual settings right here, and then I'm going to click on student view. And when I actually go through my actual modules and stuff, you sit there and see off to the right-hand side. Over here, you'll see note on notifications that has a check mark. It marks off where I'm at, and then the open circle indicates where I where I still have to continue off, where I haven't completed the module. So at any point in time, a student is actually going to know where they're at in the module and what they need to do from that point.
And that's what we're seeing in student view. So
right.
That's why I didn't see the choice.
Right.
Okay. So I keep seeing pages up there, but I don't know where.
Pages?
Yeah, your left menu, you were there, and then also they saw pages. And
that's in the faculty view, back in the faculty view.
Faculty view. So we're in the faculty view right now. So in the faculty view, you have your entire course menu. What's grayed out is what students cannot see. Those are the things that you want to hide out. And what you see in black is the things that I only want students to see. Does that make sense?
this is the faculty.
That's the faculty. You know when I'm in student view is when I go into student view and I click off on the right-hand side and I click here and I say student view. And then you see this big purple bar over here. And you see how my menu is actually changed. That's it, so I can sit there and match what you are seeing on your screen right now. Yes, Jennifer?
Can you click on one of those units or the start here or whatever? Maybe just start here.
Mm-hmm.
That listing that had point 1 welcome, point 2
my modules.
There. Okay. Okay. When you open one, it's only one thing. All of yours are just one thing. Can you do multiples of those within that? So if you click on the first one, or it doesn't matter, click on any of them.
Right.
It's just one thing.
Right.
So you can, because of the next button.
If I wanted to click, if you wanted to open up multiple items here, I could sit here and what I would actually do is.
I mean, when you go into one of those, if you go into
right.
point 4.
Right.
It's only.
I'm viewing this page, and then if I want to continue, and then I click on the next button to continue on the next item in the module.
So within that point 4,
yeah.
or that point 5,
you're asking if you can add as much detail in that one?
not detail, but if you think of a book,
right.
It's point 5. Every time you turn next, it's another page, right?
Right.
So I can do as many as I want within that
right.
5.
Right. Well, no. Oh, I'm not clear on what you're saying.
More than one page.
So when you,
But if you have two screens, like some of the secretaries have, should you put one on one and one on the other?
When you have a page, it's individual like this. So when I actually have a page, if I understand you correctly, you could do something like this. And if I wanted to continue it, this is one single page, like one single Microsoft Office document. However, if you look here, if this is what I'm sitting here saying, asking what you're saying, if we get into Unit 1, if you review the 1.3 instructional content item, this is what I'm thinking of what you're saying, is when I click here, I can have multiple items here. And this is not built in Canvas. This is built on an HTML template, which I can give you that template, and we will get to that when we get into creating content in Module 2. Is this what you're actually looking for when you're actually viewing content? Creating multiple items on one page? Maybe afterwards, let's talk afterwards after that. Maybe I can get a better idea of where you're going, and then I can clarify that with the rest of the class. So actually, where we left off, we're kind of going over basically and how we would sit there and actually approach navigating these actual modules as you work through your actual content. So again, with the home section is where we base off. This is based off all of this, and you have the option, the ability for you as the instructor, you kind of dictate on your actual homepage how students are going to navigate your actual course. And that's how I had this set up right actually here. Now, while I actually have these items here, if I go back into settings, I'm going to go into the actual student view. I also have requirements set forth too, where it prevents students from actually going ahead until they fill out certain requirements. So if Michael Golan's working through the course and he actually wants to jump into Module 2, and I work through that, he won't be able to do that because this page is part of a Module 2 that hasn't been unlocked yet. And you have to complete, this one has to complete the Unit 1 and then the previous ones. They have prerequisites you can set to prevent students from moving forward in your actual content.
So you could do both. You can't move forward because you haven't created previous modules.
Right.
And even if they have, you can set dates on when they can get into it.
Right, and I'll actually show you that. So I'll actually show you that right now. So in the actual module right here, and this is one of the emphasis too, is actually when you're creating all your stuff, this is why I sit here and say that as instructors, assignments, quizzes, pages, discussions, all of these items here, they're turned off. You put all of your content in the module section because you have full control on how you want your students to access your content. And so when we look in the actual modules area, and I'll let you finish. So when you actually look in the modules here, so for Unit 1, Introduction to Canvas, we have this gear icon up at the top right here. I click here, I say Edit. So up at the top, we have, I can lock this module until a specific date. So I didn't do that here because I wanted to try something new to give people a chance to work ahead and trying something to work ahead in their actual stuff. However, the prerequisite is before you can start this module, you have to complete the Getting Started orientation, the previous module, the preceding module before that.
Now, where does that phrase come from?
I'm sorry?
Well, Getting Started orientation, let's say I call it orientation or whatever.
It would be whatever, it's going to call it, whatever you name this module, that's what's going to appear there. That's the preceding one before it. So I'm saying before students can start Unit 1, they have to complete this module above it.
So that was a setting for you.
That's the setting that I actually specified. Now, students, here's the requirements. Students must complete all of these requirements. You also have the option here, students must move through requirements in sequential order. This is how I originally had it, but I realized the problem in my actual logic and actually what I did with this. When I originally had this, for the assignments, the only requirement that I had to do is you just needed to submit the assignment and you were able to move on to the next one. However, there's a problem with that considering how I changed how I decided to move through these courses. Now I say score at least. Score at least 0. What this means is I have to physically give you a score, and if you're late on your work, I said you don't get points on your assignment. So I have to physically either give you a 0 or whatever score you earned on your assignment before you could actually move forward. That was a problem with actually Randy, because Randy was actually sitting here and he was trying to move forward and he couldn't because I hadn't graded him yet. So I took this off right here, and this is the problem. I said I took this off so you can complete all of the items within that module, but you don't have to do it in order. So that's how we actually have that control. That's just one of the main reasons. Well, this center right here is the main reason why I say everything that you filter through, you want the students to read, you go through and you go through the module section. Plus, as we establish that convention here on campus, it's going to be a lot easier for me as a student to go in you and say, okay, modules, boom. Brandy, I go through your modules. Patricia, I go in her module. And there's a consistency throughout this band, because the main problem is the flexibility and what faculty members had to do with their Blackboard courses. Your course was different from Randy's. Randy's was different from Patricia's. Patricia's was different from Jennifer's. And students got so frustrated with Blackboard, online retention drops because they're having to learn a new learning management system each time for every faculty members. And that's why we're trying to do this level of consistency. However, with your homepage, you as an instructor, you have the ability, the freedom to still design and direct your course in the way that you actually want.
So a student cannot work through unless I've graded it?
Unless you've set those requirements. So these are requirements that I have set forth in this course that you have to, before you know, as you're going through these modules and everything else, you have to complete all of these and you have to score at least a certain amount. I have to grade this item before you actually move on. But you don't have to sit there. If you don't like that rule set and everything else, you can sit there and just say, a student just needs to submit the assignment and then they can move on. Or you don't need any requirements whatsoever if you don't want to sit there and provide any control in it. That's up to you. The point is you have the ability, the power to control how you want students to navigate your content in any fashion that you see fit. And that's what the point is as far as campus. And as the guarantees a lot more, this guarantees more activity from the student that they actually do. And you also notice here, when you look on your actual screen here, you know the actual requirements here. So it says weekly campus lab sessions. I just want you to do it. Note on notifications, it says mark is done. So those requirements that I set forth, discussion in the introductions, contribute. Score at least 0. Those requirements are all listed out there. So a student actually knows what's expected of them for each item that they have. Does that make sense?
I think some of that will make more sense when we're working with the training module.
Mm-hmm.
But
I want to talk more about the actual announcements. And since we were talking about, since one was the assignment that was to create an actual announcement. And as you folks know, with the announcements, because Blackboard didn't allow you to do this, I sent out my very first announcement was alert, did you get this announcement? And as you can see, you as a student could either go into Canvas, click on this reply button and actually reply to the actual message, or you could go through and view, you could reply via email. So Janice, I know she actually replied to the email because she has this copy is right here. And you also notice too that in the headline of the email, it says notifications@instructure.com. So your email is never shared. Emails are never shared with actual students. So be mindful of when you actually go through, if you haven't done your announcement, as you create your announcement for Unit 1, students by default have the ability to reply to your announcements as well in your course.
By video?
Well, they would do it in the same fashion as what we just did here.
you're just saying they can reply to your
Just like what they did right here. So I created an announcement. Did you get this announcement? I also had the other announcement. If we also look at, we notice the assignment change on deadlines. There's 2 people that actually replied to this one here. So Janice replied to this one, and Karina replied to this one as well.
So Jamie had said you could use announcements by video, but
You can.
I'm in the reply to your announcement, and I don't see where I would engage the video to reply to.
So let's look right here. So let me go right here. So Jennifer's question is replying as far as media and video. So I'm going to go back into student view because it's going to make more sense for me as a student to do this. So settings, student view. When we actually go into the announcements section, let's talk about the assignment change on deadlines, or change on deadlines right here. I, as a student, want to reply. I want to reply to this. I want to record video. I don't know if this is going to work because I have Zoom already recording, but we're going to try. This button right here, right next to them in the toolbar, We have a button here that says insert math equation and then record upload media. If I click on this button, it's right here. Now, I don't know if this is going to work because my camera's doing, my base is right here. So if it's not going to work, I'll show you in 1 second. Yeah, it's no camera detected. It's not going to be able to find it because the camera is being used by Zoom right here. But right here, Michael, if we look up here, that little YouTube link right up there.
I see.
Right there, when you reply to a message, you can record. You could do audio or you could do video with your webcam. Ooh, we get some chat messages. You have some? Oh, good. Perfect. Alan can hear us fine. Thank you, Alan. Awesome. So you have that there. So the thing that I want to let you know on the announcements, as you're working with your announcements, students can sit there and go through that. So that's something if you want to be mindful of. Now, with the announcements itself, if you want to have, if you don't, like for a specific announcement, so you want to make a blanket announcement, you don't want students to comment on it. It's okay. For those online, if anybody's watching this, people are actually trying the recording to reply to my announcement. So you could specify, you could close a specific announcement and say close for comments if you don't want specifically something for that, for a single one.
So on that reply one again, I just did it for a second. So do they need flash on their computer?
Yeah. And that's going to be, I mean, they'll probably be changing that. I think more than likely they'll be changing that because Flash is becoming more outdated as it goes. But for right now, yeah, Flash is.
So do you have a few programs on your home? But I need to put some in there. I mean, often we'll put Adobe, you know, so students can read PDF, although I think everybody has it.
Yeah, Adobe, yeah. Right. The only issue that we have with those video requirements and everything else, and when we're talking about accessibility relating to what Jennifer actually does in sign language, if you do, like, and for a blanket announcement, you could actually record a video for your entire class as well. But with those videos, one-off, I can't caption those videos. It's different in Jennifer's case because she can just sign and she can just do that. It's fine in there. But you have to be mindful if there's any accommodate. You have to be understanding who is the market in your actual course. If you have any students with any disabilities whatsoever, that video feature right off the bat is not going to be accessible. And you could do that recording, but you'd also have to provide an alternative form of media for any, if you have to make any accommodations for any other students.
Are there programs you can record that allow you to do that?
There's different methods and ways to actually do that, and we can talk about those at a later time.
How do you, mine doesn't show, mine already, my announcement for one of my other classes shows locked.
Because you've already locked it.
Yeah, but how did I lock it? I don't remember locking it, which is fine, but when I go to my cog, it doesn't show me close command, or it just shows delete.
Maybe let me see, let's check one thing.
That was a setting.
Let's check one thing here. So I want to point one thing out. So we already know we have one announcement. You could say close for comments. You could also turn off commenting altogether. And I'm thinking that might be your case. So yeah, that's a setting.
Okay,
so let's. No, I'm going to show it right now. I'm going to show it right now. So what I'm saying is, if you don't want comments at all on your announcements, you would go to settings. I'd scroll all the way down to the bottom. It says more options. And on the bottom right here, disable comments on announcements. That's checked.
I did that.
Okay. And then you could say update course details. Also, I'm going to jump ahead here. Also for the announcements, if you want them, when we get to our homepage, you'll have a homepage set up in your actual course. You don't have one now, so it's not going to be relevant, but I'm kind of jumping ahead into next week as far as Unit 2 is concerned. When you create your actual homepage, you can have your announcements set up to where it says show recent announcements on the course homepage. Would you like to have your announcement?
Yes.
Yeah, that's what you actually have there. And you can have, I mean, if you want, you can have up to as many as 15 or how many that you have up there. So those options are there. So again, that's settings. And then you're on your course details tab. And then you scroll all the way down to the bottom. and then you would say more, more options. You click here and you have those options there. So if you don't want students to comment on your announcement, any announcement that you actually create, you'd say disable comments on announcements. I'm going to leave it up on mine because number one, I can address any questions that relate to that specific topic. It's a great way to get feedback from your folks on certain things. I want to talk about profiles real quickly. So profiles is in your, I believe in the modules, creating your profile is item 1.4. There is a specific thing that you need to note for anybody that hasn't submitted that yet. I took a quick look at current submissions and those submitted the URL addresses perfectly. And so the reason why I'm saying this in past course, this is personally my fourth or fifth time teaching this. We've always had a confusion on what address to submit for your actual assignment. So I want to make sure that we're actually clear on the correct address you need to submit before you create your, as you create your profile. So in reference to 1.4, the edit profile assignment, it states to create a profile. And then you're supposed to submit me a link to your profile. So what instructors actually do is they go through, as they read through the directions how to do this, they can go through their profile, and then they'll go through and right here on the edit, I'm doing this real quickly, but you'll read it, and then they'll go through and enter all this information, and then they save their profile. What they actually do is when they save this information, the mistake is they'll submit to me this address. And I don't know if you can see this on screen. I'm going to put this on screen here. Let me delete all of this information. So they will submit to me this address. Make that smaller here. If you submit to me this address and I get it and I click on it, it's going to go to my profile, not yours. So this is incorrect. What you need to do is once you've created your actual profile and you save it, you can go back in the actual course itself. You can go back to the actual course itself, and on the people link, right here on the people link, if you scroll through and find your name, so if I go through and find my name and I click on my name, this address up here on the top is what I want you to submit to me as far as your assignment is concerned.
You've got that explained in 1.4.
Yeah, in 1.4, the details are there. They're explained there.
Hey, Chris, one thing I noticed is Alan can see what's on this video, right?
Yeah.
Which means he cannot see your screen.
No, he sees my
Oh,
screen.
he sees it?
He's seeing. So Alan doesn't have a web camera right now, but he sees my screen and my face. He just doesn't see you.
It's split, so he's seeing the screen below?
What you're actually seeing here
Yeah.
is what you're actually seeing on my screen is what he's seeing on his computer screen.
Oh, he's not seeing the video in that little box right there where I can see you. He doesn't see that.
No, he sees this.
The screen shows both.
This screen shows both. So let me explain it this way. Let me see if I can find this. Oh, actually, I can do this. So actually, what Alan sees, let me go into the modules here. So in the getting started orientation, I have the YouTube video. So this is the one that we actually did this last week. This is what Alan's seeing.
So comparison. When I get back to my office later today, I'll make sure and send you that link. I highly recommend it.
So as we go through the course, that's what you're actually
How
seeing.
much you're in.
Perfect. Sorry.
It just helps me understand what the students want to see.
Perfect. Yes, James.
So am I correct if I'm figuring out that the profile is basically universal across courses?
This address, yes. So if anybody were to go to this, you're logged into Canvas, you go to this address, it's going to go specifically to your profile.
That profile is going to be the same for every course that I teach.
Right.
So if I want to tell different things to different classes,
No, okay, when you create this profile, you can't, this profile is universal to any course. But when I give, I want to make clear for the actual video that when I go to this address, when any student or anybody that's in their account, when you go to this address, it's going to go to that specific user's profile. That if you want a unique profile, you go back into the actual course, and then you're on your people page. You find your name, so Jeanette, and for Jeanette, her unique ID to her profile is 26904. This is what she's going to submit to me for her assignment. Does that make sense?
No, I'm not concerned about the assignment.
Yeah.
I teach 2 courses on 2 totally different topics. I might want my students to know different things about it.
Uh-huh.
Not that it's secret, but just that some of them might not be interested in what I know about statistics. Okay. So is it possible for me to set up a different profile for each of the courses?
No. What you would actually do, so the question is, so different profile for different context of the course that you actually teach. What I would actually do, excuse me, and I'll get to your question in a second, Alan. What I'd actually do is in my 0.2, I have another profile page right here that you could do something more specific in your actual course. That's what I would recommend. Now, Alan had a question as far as profiles are concerned. I'm going to try to bring that up real quick. So, and this is the way students can interact. So Alan just brought up a question. So on the profile, nothing came up under contact. Is that normal? Rather than I could set up link, etc. under contact, but not email. Should email show up? And Patricia, you had this question before. Sorry. All right, let me read it again a lot slower. Once I get going and I get talking, my mouth doesn't know when to slow down. Question on the profile. Nothing came up under contact. Is that normal? Rather, I can set up LinkedIn, etc. under contact, but not email. Should email show up? So the main question is when I go into the actual accounts and I actually do the profile section right here, we have contact information right here. And I've told this to Canvas in general. But when I go into edit profile, it says no registered services. You can add something on settings, add some on the settings page. If I go on the settings page, it's talking about these other services, LinkedIn, Twitter, Skype, and all that other stuff. It doesn't leave information for email. So, and the reason why is because Canvas, or the company and structure that creates this product, is very stringent as far as FERPA regulations and sharing third-party and sharing personal student information or personal information regarding our institution on third-party services. They don't make those things public. That's why under the contact information, you can't enter your email address. If you want to add your email address, you could add it in your biography if you want students to actually get a hold of you in that fashion. Otherwise, it's just the contact information there. Let's see what Alan actually has to say. That makes sense. Okay, good. I got it. What was your question, Michael?
So I went into training to look at my profile.
No, you go in your profile, you go up on, I'm clicking on, so to access your profile, I'm clicking on account. No, I'm in the global navigation. I'm clicking on profile right here.
When you get account and then profile.
Uh-huh.
Well, you have an admin button, I don't.
Yeah, that's me. And then I clicked on to edit my profile. I clicked on those 3 buttons, this button right here, and I said edit profile. Did you find it?
Yeah, it looks different.
Yeah.
It's just somewhere else looking at my profile.
Well, let me see what you.
Well, now it looks like your page.
Okay, good.
So I think I went here and then training.
No, you don't need to go through that. You go through.
And I went.
People, that's where you can view that. That's where people access the profile for your course.
Right.
So when a student wants to learn more about you or your background, that's where they actually go. But for where do you go to edit your actual profile? You click here, account, and then you click on profile.
Well, when I'm looking at this now, it does say you can add sort of settings.
Yeah.
I'm just confused between these two views of my profile.
So in the account section, if you want to go in, If you want to go in and edit your personal profile, you go into account and you can access your profile, you edit that. When a student wants to go and people want to just go through and learn about who you are and what you're doing in the actual course, they can just go into people and they can just view your profile this way. And I can click on Joe Bronworth and I can learn about Joe Bronworth and anything about him as far as what he actually does. This is just the yellow book to get more, to know more about people in the actual course. Now that we've had some discussions, I want to move on to discussion. Patricia, I believe, did you have a, I saw a hand. No.
How come on my profile, and I noticed that you have like enrolled, and you have yourself as a teacher, and then other people have themselves as students, but I don't even have enrolled on my profile. Is that something I did or something the system did?
Let me see what you're actually saying. So you're having an issue.
Well, I'm just curious because, so like on my profile, I have contact biography links, and then you have enrolled in, and I don't have that. Like if you look at the people.
Oh, and the people stuff? Yeah, well, I understand. So you're talking about in the actual course.
Yeah.
So
That's not anything I'm supposed to do, right?
no, that's not, no. So what you're actually talking about is this stuff. I'm seeing this because I'm an admin.
No, but you see enrollment before links. I have links, but I don't have enrollment. Yeah. How does that come up? Or does it?
Patricia, where are you, Patricia? There you are. You're right there.
Why I don't see that?
Yeah.
Okay,
That's
maybe
I don't see that either.
you know.
It's probably individual on your account. Maybe that's something that's individual on mine too as an admin as well.
Oh, are you in this?
I'm in the actual course as the actual instructor. So let me do this. I'm going to go into settings. I'm going to actually go into student view. People. When I go through here and let's click on Randy. Oh, it does show up for them too. That's interesting.
Yeah, well, not a big deal.
No.
Just, you know, just curious.
That's nothing you need to be concerned about. It's nothing you need to be concerned about as far as the nature of that. So ultimately, as we've kind of gone off with the actual profile and we've gone in actually deeper, I just want to make sure you understand the actual URL address that you want to actually submit for that assignment is when you get into people, and then you click on a name, click on your name. This is the address that you're going to be submitting for that one that we actually have. Moving on, unless there are no other questions, I want to talk about discussions and how we work with discussions. All right. So our first discussion was this introduction one. Now, as we go through this discussion, first off, let's talk about one thing. Randy had a good question as far as getting notifications, because notifications can be an issue. Benefit in some ways, issue in others. So, Randy, tell me what you told me in the beginning.
Phone for all my, I'm an email junkie, so all my notifications have to gccc.edu.
Right.
My phone is set on answering emails at work all the time.
Right.
So like Michael Golden, all of a sudden I got 3 Michael Goldens, 3 Jennifers, and all of a sudden my phone, I go to baseball practice, I come back, I got 40 emails.
Right.
And they're in junk, but they still show up. They come in as junk, not on my, on my phone, it comes in as focus or something else.
Right. And
so I'm wondering, I put an announcement up. It's a student's responsibility to look at it. I do not have reply to announcements on mine.
Right.
Just more of, hey, remember tomorrow we have a quiz.
Right.
Please, it closes at 11:59 tomorrow. I don't need them to answer me back. So I'm getting every one of their responses on my phone.
Right.
How can I shut that down?
There's a couple ways that we can actually do that. So actually, as far as the discussions are concerned, I want to bring you back to notifications. This all depends on notifications. So when we go into account and we go into notifications.
Inside the course.
Well, no, we're going into, I'm going into my own notification settings. We're out of the course right now. I am in the global navigation. I'm managing the notifications from my account.
Oh, so you're doing this for us right now. So you're doing it for me.
No, you need to do this for you.
For me. Okay.
This is only for me. When I'm going in here, I'm doing this for how I want to receive notifications in any course that I'm an instructor or a student
So
in.
follow along.
So when I go to account, I don't have to go back to the dashboard, then pick a tab, then go in and go into account. If I click on account on that purple strip, if I click on account, I don't have to jump around from course to course.
No.
That pulls me out of all my courses
Right.
into this separate little area.
Right.
I thought I had to go in and out of each.
No. And one thing I want to make note here, and I'm not doing this here, and I find myself as I'm going through this, it's kind of annoying me too. I'm not following what I teach. So I'm going to talk. I'm kind of going off on a segue here because she mentions a navigation issue. Let's say I'm going in here and I'm talking about the actual discussions, right? So I'm talking about discussions and everything else. And I want to stay on this page. However, as we're going through discussions now, for me to talk about this, I want to talk about notifications because these two things relate, right? However, when I go through and I click on accounts, and now as soon as I click on notifications, I've left the discussion. I'm out. So now for me, when I go through here now and I go through and explain what I need to explain to you, the annoying part is I have to go back in here to my dashboard, and then I have to go back into my course, and then I have to go back in here to modules, and then I have to go back here and then get to the discussions and then click on where I need to go. Very annoying. What I do and what you should do is as you're going through, I have one tab that's like my home base. That's where I do everything. And so what I do right now is on the account screen, before I go, if I click on notifications, I'm not just going to left click. I'm going to hold down, it's control key for Mac or control key for Windows, command key for Mac. If I hold down the control key now, I'm holding down the control key and then I'm going to click with my left mouse button, left click on notifications. It opens up in a new tab and then I can explain to you what I need to explain to you and I click that and then I'm back on my discussion. It's so much easier as far as navigating the actual course.
Like a toggle.
Yeah.
Got it.
Left click. Yeah. It'll open it, anything that you want to go. So if you're working on something, you want to stay here. I always have one tab that's like my home base. That's where I actually go through. And what I actually do, when I'm actually mindful and paying attention to what I'm doing, I go through here. Now I want to leave this. I need to go to notifications. Boom, I can sit here and explain to you what I need, and then I can go back. So just to be clear, control key is on a Windows PC. If you're working on a Mac, it's command key, command click.
So that's going to open up a new window, any link that
Yeah, new tab, or new tab, yeah. Mhm.
Aaron, you can also just right click, and it should bring up a tiny little window. You can, I think, set options open in the tab.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's for Windows. Usually right click is not prominent on Mac, so that's not set up on default. Yes, James.
What did you what you just described, right click or whatever, really is a feature of the browser, not of Canvas.
Right.
Correct.
Right. All right, let's get back on notifications. So, Randy doesn't want to get all these discussion notifications and everything else. So if he doesn't, notice this discussion post. It's a new discussion post and a topic you're subscribed to. So when Michael replies to Jennifer or James replies to Patricia, Randy's going to get that notification. If you don't want, I mean, you have the options of turning this off. And I would sit there and say, if you're, as far as working in my course, you go through your course, and if you've completed your requirement of 2 replies, you could turn this off. But that's going to be kind of annoying to be able to sit there and go through and do that every single time. What I would probably recommend doing is after you get to the point where you've met your requirements and everything else and you can move on, just unsubscribe to this, because those notifications are based on what you subscribe to, the discussion boards you subscribe to. So as soon as I unsubscribe to this discussion, I'm not going to get anything.
So we go courses.
You actually go to the actual.
You should go to the actual discussions.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm actually in the actual discussions right here.
Right.
And then I sit here, and if Randy's done his post and he's talked to the people he wants to talk to and he moves on, he doesn't want to get any other notifications, he can unsubscribe to it. Also, what I'd sit here and do, and I've noticed this too, because several faculty members might be enrolled in another course for some reason or another. For example, we have one in the a faculty member in the library is doing a presentation in an English course, for example, and they're getting notifications on that. If you have an alternative email address, I would recommend putting that up as well. You can add an alternative email address. So your main email address, Randy, and I'll show you how to add the new one in a second. So Randy, you have randy@abshire@gcc.edu. You can have settings specifically for your course. If there's any other ones that you don't want to sit here and deal with, and then like, for example, due date, you have due dates or whatever, and you're getting notifications from other things, or in my course that you don't want to specifically sit here and see, you could set those for the secondary email address that you don't want to get. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I just was always and you can correct me. I just thought being a Grossmont employee, we were highly suggested to use the GCCD EDU for all communications.
Right. Well,
I thought that's why I've always used it on my phone, anything
what
I
we're
do.
supposed to do is, anybody should be
Sorry,
able to
we're
email you at that email address. Now, you can route it to other emails,
Okay,
right?
okay.
And then when you reply, of course, they need to still be able to reply back to your reply or whatever, using a GCC.
I was never smart enough. I just always used GCC then.
But here, if you look on Canvas,
You're talking about helping him with his problem of wanting to eliminate all those he was getting.
right.
Unsubscribe.
You had two.
I know, but you went to discussions, and that's where it threw me off, because to me, with what you had, the screen you have up there.
So I was using Randy as an example that applies to everyone as a whole. So as a broad scope, even if this applies to Michael, because when I use Randy as an example, it's going to happen to Michael, it's going to happen to you. So as you're going through the actual course, you have a discussion, you were supposed to reply to me, and then your goal, your objective is to reply to 2 of your classmates' posts. It's a common thing that faculty members do for all of their classes, okay? When we have subscribed, when this is subscribed, and when I'm on my notifications page and I have discussion post, says new discussion post in a topic you're subscribed to, keyword is subscribed to, I'm going to get a notification right away because I want to know at the beginning, let's say today's module, Monday module 2 starts, Randy comes in, he makes his post and starts doing stuff. He wants to get a notification for the rest of you folks that get caught up. So he knows when he can log back in and reply to 2 other people's posts. But once Randy does that, or once Michael does that, or once you, Jennifer, do that, then you're done. But as you continue working through the course, you're continuing to get all these other notifications about everybody else in the course and what they've done for that discussion that you're already done with. And that's kind of annoying. Does that make sense so far up to that point? Okay, so what Randy wanted to know is how can he turn that off? And so what I was sitting here saying is when we have new discussion posts on the topic you're subscribed to, option 1 was you could just sit here and say, don't send me anything. Or you could change it to send me a daily summary or weekly summary, but that has its own set of problems. An easier solution for Randy or for anyone else that has any issues with getting all these discussion replies is once you've gone into the actual discussion in and of itself, you can reply to the teacher's post, you can reply to 2 of your students, and once you've done that, click unsubscribe, and you won't get any notifications at all for this particular post. Does that make sense?
Why would you click on subscribe? That to me sounds like if you click on subscribe, you're going to get it.
Yeah, so the point is, okay, so Monday, Unit 2 starts, right? Michael goes in Monday, and he does all this assignment work, and he posts on the Unit 2 discussion board. Then he goes off and does his other stuff. Technically, up to that point, Michael's done his requirements, but there's one requirement that he has to fulfill. That's reply to 2 other classmates' posts. So he subscribes to this to be notified, so when Erin comes in and replies, gets a notification, Michael can automatically go log in and reply to her post. And then later on that night, Randy comes in and makes a post. Michael can go in and reply to that post. Michael's fulfilled his requirements for his assignment. Michael can come in, unsubscribe to this, move on, and not get any more notifications.
So the default is you're subscribed. Correct.
Yeah.
And it's just a toggle.
Right.
So then click it.
Right.
Can we go back to the other screen where it showed all those, its account profile, no, notification?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so how do we know what these columns mean?
The legend's right at the top.
Oh, it's
The legend's right up at the top. So
That's
we'll
okay.
go-
No, I've had to.
So notify me right away is the check mark. Send daily summary is the clock. So that's end
I
of
got
day. And then
Okay.
I was hovering over them.
I know this could be bad because we're teachers, but I missed a question on the quiz, and I didn't notice this. So I missed the question about notifications.
Right.
So if anybody hadn't taken the quiz, you could
I haven't taken the quiz yet.
I didn't know. So the one that I missed was the cell phone.
Yeah.
Canvas will notify you by cell phone or text you.
Right. If you add it. I added mine.
Every student incoming notification with text.
It was annoying. Notice. I tried doing this and then notice.
Okay, so I missed that question. Oh, I got 0.75%. It's a 3 point. It's
Right.
a 3.
Yeah.
Three question. Three
Yeah.
answers to the question. So, do they get a phone call, or is it a text?
No, it's a text message.
Okay.
And it was really annoying.
Okay.
But I added it. I added it in there. I leave it in there
You
just so
gave
you
it
know
as
the
an option
possibility,
of
and you can
learning
have the
which one.
possibility.
Okay.
What I actually do like is if you download the Canvas app, you can get push notifications to the actual application.
And I missed that. Okay.
And that's a lot better because with SMS, I don't mind getting the actual text message. What I do mind is hearing the ding, ding,
Right.
ding, ding every single time. But push notifications, I can set it where it doesn't give me the audible thing. It'll just send me the notification. If I pick up my phone, I can sit there and say, oh, okay, Michael, Randy, and all of them did this.
You say we can download the Canvas app on our phone?
Yeah.
I thought it was just all web-based.
No, they have a mobile, there's two applications I actually want to download. There's one, if you go in your app store, there's Canvas, and there's Canvas for Teacher. So when you go in the app store, I believe,
See, because like right now, funny, I just got 3 emails from somebody who just did this.
Right. So if it goes to my text and I reply to a text, then I can.
No, you can't. No. Number one, you can't reply. You can't reply to a text message. So if you get a notification that Randy did something, it's just a notification. Hey, this is what's going on in your course. Yes, Jennifer.
So in the discussion area, the student fulfills a requirement and they hit unsubscribe.
Right.
Does it keep that setting for future discussions?
No, that's only for that one discussion.
That one.
That's only that one discussion. So with notifications out of the way. Oh, by the way, one thing I wanted to mention on the settings one. So when we talk about the official emails, I'm on in my account on my settings. If you look right over here, your default, it's always going to be your email address is always going to be whatever's connected to your Web Advisor account. But you can add additional email addresses. And if I click on this checkbox, well, I have to confirm this. I can make that one the default address. So if you don't want to get your district email spam with all your course stuff, and you want to have a separate, you could do that too.
Okay.
And this is where I added the phone number too. All right, so I want to go back to the discussion. So as we're going through this discussion, as you can see, a couple things I want to make clear on, because this is one thing that was kind of confusing with actual instructors. How do you tell what is an actual original top-level post, and how do you know what's an actual reply? Exactly. So as you sit here and see, when we're looking at Alan's post, his has a nice big icon, and then Janice is a lot smaller. Hers is a lot smaller. So you can actually tell that. And then as I go through, you can see these are all indented here. But when I actually go through, now I know that I'm actually going through, and I know a new conversation has begun, because now it's a big one back over here. It's kind of gone down over here. Also, when I'm actually going through all of this, and even as an instructor, when I'm grading all of these, I collapse them at the beginning. So at the beginning, you have the button right here. You can see everything, or I can collapse replies, so I can see all of the replies here from everyone, and it's a lot easier for me. So if I want to go here, and I want to, this is Michael's, I can click on Michael's, and I can actually view it.
So
Go
the
back.
first one's the very first one, and the last one's the last one. Sometimes your last one's the first one. And you're going in an order.
As an instructor, I'll show you as an instructor how these are graded as well. It's easy to tell when these are actually posted and everything else.
So when we collapse them, I can't see dates, I just see things.
Right.
And then
When you click on an actual post here too, don't click on their actual name, because when you go to the name, you're going to go to their profile. When you actually click on a post, you sit there and see it. You see that arrow that pops up? I click on the post, and that actually opens up the actual discussion.
and what's the 07?
The what?
07, you made 0 posts, but there was 7 there. Is that 7 replies? Your right hand side, you got the blue number.
Yeah, that tells you. So There's unread. Blue is the unread. So let me see what do we do with Randy.
Oh, I see. So there's some in here I have like 4 out of 17.
Yeah. So any of these, the blue ones. So when I notice here with Randy here, as I go through here, I have the blue. And now I'm going through, you see over here on the right-hand side over here. Anytime I actually go through, Randy's, those actually disappear. So there's Aaron's. I can click on these. Now when I collapse Randy's post now, it goes, no, it's still there. 6 of 6. So it's supposed to indicate items that I haven't read yet. Then if you actually have, and if you wanted to sit there, you could search for entries by author. So if I wanted to go for, let's say, Randy, I can only bring up Randy's posts. And this is everything that Randy's replied to, or anything that mentions Randy. But with grading also, when you're actually grading these discussions, it's really easy to go through these because with the discussions, I can actually go through with an actual name. I can see the actual original post. This is the actual post from the actual student. This is in reply to my post. And then this is the actual reply. These are replies to the actual student.
Okay, so just like Blackboard.
Right.
We put the grade in there.
Right. So I have a rubric here. I can do my 4.
Right,
She
and then
did
we
good.
can add a, hey, that was a great discussion. I didn't know you were on a TV show, blah, 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 on
Yeah.
comments.
Yeah, assignment comments.
Okay, so it's similar to Blackboard. Or,
Yeah, and assignment comments are actually important too because there's a lot of them here that I actually go through and I actually reply, and some of it, and it appears like everybody's been really good on the replies here. But if I go through and I grade something in assignment comments, you'll get those notifications. That's why I sit here and say for your notifications, going back to the notifications, the one that you want to make sure that's actually selected is submission comment.
Yeah.
That needs to be checked right away. It's for, as the instructor, I get notifications on any comments that you send to me. So Michael, if you go through and you say, Chris, I'm having a problem with this profile, I'm not sure this URL address to my profile is correct. I'm gonna get that submission comment. And then when I reply to you, hey, blah, 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 here's my answer to your question, then you get that notification as well. That's a very important one to actually deal with. And those comments, when we talk about submission comments, we're talking about any comments made in this section right here.
Which we're going to learn about later.
Yeah, we're going to do it. Yeah, we'll learn about that later. My main point was, the purpose of what I was actually going through was to actually show you how the discussion's actually viewed. And let me go back here again.
This is how you see it.
How I see it. The main point of me going into the gradebook was not to get into details as far as the grade is concerned. I just wanted to show you how the grades actually, the discussions actually look here. And then if I can go through here, I can view that full discussion. And I view the full, and when it says view full discussion, I'm trying to go back to the question that you asked me earlier. You're viewing the entire discussion of, full discussion means the entire discussion board, not the full discussion of what Aaron had in the context of what you're seeing.
Well, like I said, it comes into my email and I just want to click that.
Right.
And it takes me to everything.
You're only seeing
What
it.
you showed me now is, okay, I got another step I got to do. I got to type that person's name.
Yeah, if you wanted to see theirs, you can see that.
Well, because what, yeah, when I'm clicking, I'm thinking I'm just going to go that way.
No.
Yeah.
That's what I wanted to make clarified.
How do we see our grades? Oh, great.
All right, we got 12 minutes here. A couple things that I want to go through. So,
In your, with this course and the courses that you've taught so far, all these notifications that you get in your email.
well, number one, I don't use the Outlook thing. I'm allergic to Microsoft products. The only thing that I allow in my house is an Xbox, so I can play my Destiny that came out, and I'm going to be playing that tonight. But Outlook, I abhor that. I just can't stand that program. So in my email, I can't show it to you now, but I use Gmail. And Gmail has a way you can add context to a specific item. So the context, certain things would be updates. This is a forum, or This is a finance related email. You could get receipts in your email and stuff like that. So if I set specific context on that, so all my Canvas stuff goes in the context of update. So anytime I get an email with that context, it goes directly into that context area. It doesn't go into my main inbox. So I'm never flooded with all this stuff.
But my question is, so in that tab you have, if you call it campus and email,
Right.
if you have semester after semester after semester,
Right.
do you delete them or how do you organize them when you have semester after semester?
I don't.
You don't. You just leave them there.
I just leave them there.
Well, you're talking about the different folders you can make, like promotions,
Yeah.
social. Okay, what you can do is you can hide a folder. So what I would do is fall 17, and then at the end of that semester, hide it, and then create a new one, spring. Right?
You could do that too. And that's it when we're talking Outlook specific.
No, I'm talking about
No,
Gmail.
Yeah, Gmail? Okay, yeah, you can do Gmail too. Yeah. They call it not folders, they call them labels.
Yeah,
Labels. They call them labels. Outlook's folders when I get the numbers correct. But the way, and I don't care about space and everything else because you get an insane amount of space with a free account anyway. So it's worked out really well. So, one thing I want to note too, I want to get back, and that's the one thing too, as we get through, as we work through the conversations inbox, there's a couple of things I wanted to point out here with this one too. When we're actually working with messages, and this is a bad habit that I'm getting into that's kind of a challenge for me. As you can see, anytime I get a notification that you guys sent me something, because I have Canvas open all the time, I'll see a little icon right here. It says 1, 2, 3, how many messages you sent to me, and I'll reply to those messages. However, it gets to a problem as I do this and I do all the other things that I got to do throughout my day. As I come back here, now these are all my messages that I have. I kind of forget whether or not I answered any one of your things. So as you go through and you're working through this in your actual course, I'm on the conversations inbox. I selected this course. Make sure that when you go through and you're actually done with, so this is what Michael sent me today, you reply to it, archive it. You'll still be able to access your archive messages. So when I click on the drop-down menu here, I can go through and I can access the archive and I could see Michael's post. So they'll always be there. But if you don't archive these, this gets really confusing after a while.
It leaves your inbox and goes to archive. So you're cleaning your inbox.
I'm cleaning my inbox.
Can you make other folders or boxes?
No, these are just standard. Yes, ma'am.
So Christy, click on the actual email and then click on.
So Sharon's, I've replied to her. She said, this was, I was replying to Sharon. She attached a wrong document for the actual assignment. She got back to me. She got it done. There's an arrow. There's a drop-down arrow right next to the trash can. I don't want to click the trash can. I want to click that arrow up at the top. And then I can archive that message. And so that way I know that I'm clear and I'm not leaving any one of you and anybody behind on all of it.
But there's no way to organize them in the archive by semester.
No.
Course, right?
No. Well, I mean, this course is, this is a semester by semester thing. So these are some, you can CTF1, you could sit there and say, this would be the fall, if this was an actual course, this would be your fall semester. So they are organized by semester by semester. But I can't go into, archive, and if I want to sit there, archive, let's say, problem students. I can't archive it by that or by specific topic. They're just archive. Also notice too, in your conversation inbox, any submission comments that you've received, you can access those messages there as well. So any submission comments that I've gotten in the actual course, these are ones here. I get all of these as well. So I just want to make sure, get in the habit as you work with the conversations inbox in your course, make sure you just archive these because it's going to be a lot easier for you. Yeah, it's the lower one. All right, so Sunday, I think we're pretty clear on module 1 and the getting started stuff. I know there's certain points where it went a little faster, but you're more than welcome to review the video once I have that posted by the end of the day. So I think everybody's pretty clear on the orientation. I mean, the discussion and the outlines, everybody's done fantastic on their outlines.
How do you make an outline? I hate Word also.
There is a program that I've used called Dynalist. DYNALIST.com. DYNALIST. Hopefully, if I'm correct, because it's not loading up.
Unless you're doing it all the time.
Now, dial it. What this application is, if my internet would work, I don't know why it's not. Let's do a generic search right here. No, I can't type. Nice. Try this again. There we go. Oh, I'm sorry. The address is dynalist.io. DYNALIST.io. So as you can sit here and see, this is an outlining application. It's just for creating outlines. And you can export them. So what I did was when I created my outline and I did that example, I created my outline in here and then I just copy and pasted it into Word and I saved it as a PDF. And I do all my planning because the outline, I'm a list guy. And so I do all my thoughts. They have an iPhone app for it. And when I want to drum out and dump ideas out on paper, I use this. I think it's like $40 a year or something like that. It's worked out really well for me. So, and I do all my planning and everything else in that application. No. Very rarely do I ever. I mean, usually Google Docs, as far as it's just to store stuff. Or when I create something, I want to copy it, I want to reference it later. But I never do any creation in any word processing program or anything else. All right, so graded. We talked about the profile. We talked about the announcement. So you should be covered for Unit 1. Let's talk real quickly about the module. And I'm going to go into a template course, a dummy course about this.
We're still locked out right now.
Yeah, you're still locked out real quick. So you're not even going to be able to get to that. So with the actual when you get to Unit 2, you're going to be creating your modules. Now, when you get to Unit 2, you're going to need that outline that you created again. So I'm going to do something here. I'm going to reset this course here so we're not confused about this. By the way, so you know, settings, never click on this button.
I was just going to say it's all done.
But, well, not my official course. This is a dummy course. This is a template course. I click this button, you just delete everything.
I didn't even see are you sure you really want to do that thing?
I clicked on, I was a little too fast. All right, so with your modules, when you work on your actual modules, you have that outline. All you're going to do is create the shell of the content item. So when I go through here, I'm going to say module. Most people did like a start here. You know, most people followed the convention that I had in my example and said a start here. And they created the module right here. Okay, that's your first module. Now, when you create your content items, you're going to look at that module and actually sit there and said, mine was welcome. So any item that I said read, you know, when I said specifically read, you're going to create, and this is explained in my actual video on the thing. You're actually going to say content page. And I'm going to say new page, and then you're going to say 0.1 or whatever your numbering convention was welcome. And then I'm just going to say add item. Any assignment, when I say graded assignment, I'm going to click on the content item here. I'm going to sit here and say assignment. All I'm going to do is say new assignment. By the way, I know I'm going real fast here because I'm just kind of setting you up for the video that's in there. So new assignment, and then you would do the actual number here, 1.2, and then you would say whatever that assignment title for that assignment is. And then you continue going.
So, but you have like next to one of those that says read and another one says graded.
Right.
How do you add that?
So that would be in the actual title here. So let me go back and do these again. So actually, in the new item that I would have here, what I'd actually do, and I didn't add those in the actual title. So now if you had a graded discussion, I'm going to sit here and say discussion. I'm I'm going to say new topic, and in my topic name, I would finish that out. I'd say 1.3. Yeah. Give me a topic. Okay. Bell, and this is parentheses graded. The discussion.
So when you said save our outline, I was assuming we were going to upload it and then make those links hot, but
No.
I'm really just going to use it as a reference as I build.
Yes. And so you're going to do this again, and then you would create your second one, and then you just repeat the same process. And then when you go to submit your assignment, all you're doing is submitting me this address.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Just because maybe somebody else is in the same boat. I already have a Canvas class.
Uh-huh.
How can I use all my material from my class that I'm currently doing?
You'd have to copy that course over.
I just can't give you my course page like that, my URL. And
Yeah, technically could, but since I'm kind of sitting here being the instructor and you're the student, to do it the right way and maintain everything in the actual training course, you'd have to copy that over. So what you could do is you go into your settings.
Well, you don't have to explain it to nobody else. We're going to all have to do it. Well, no, I already have a course built. Oh, okay. No, that's good. Okay, good. There you go.
So one thing to mention, so as we're going through, we're jumping ahead, but that there is in the actual course, you won't be able to get to it now, but by the end of it, I also have a video of that. Actually, you know what? I'll just do this. So importing a Canvas sandbox. This is an actual video that has all of this stuff. So you watch that video too. It kind of goes over what I'm actually saying. But the idea is pretend, okay, this is the actual course. This is your spring course or whatever, or your training course. I'm going to go in here and say copy this or cancel. Import course content.
Okay.
The content type is copy a Canvas course.
Okay.
Now for me, I don't have a drop down, but for you as an instructor, there's a drop down menu here. If I click on this, you could select your course that you wanted to copy it to. So you would say copy it to your training course. So I'd say CTF1. So I'm going to select that course. Now, if I want to just do my modules, or so to speak, and I didn't want to do anything else, I could say, you could either do all content and copy everything in it, or you could do select specific content and just select specific items. So I'm just doing that. Now it's saying I want to select specific content right here. I select the content and I could select my modules right here. So I could say those 9 modules and I select that, and it's going to go through the actual import process.
Can you go back in another time and add a few others?
Yeah, you can add it in a time, but it's just if you want to move specific content from one course to another, that's an easy way to do it. Yeah.
It holds the due date from the previous course, so you have to go in and readjust all.
We're going to find out.
But that's, you're right, for Blackboard, that's what it did. You just take semester from semester. Blackboard would always be based on your copy class.
Right, so you have to go back in.
So you would go back and reset all your due dates and your assignment.
So this you have to do the same.
I'm assuming that's kind of like Blackboard, because when would they know your due dates are, I guess?
Right.
You have to do them.
Take care, Ellen.
Yeah, you have to do it because how do they know?
Yeah.
Right. So you-
One day.
Yeah.
That's true.
But thanks for helping me on that, because now I can just transfer from my current class into this class.
Yeah.
You're teaching.
Take note here,
Well, because you get some of my face-to-face.
real quickly, before I get to your question, take note that not all of this is actually, so a lot of these imports, what they'll actually do is they point out specific issues. And so if you have specific issues, these are certain things that you would actually want to look at. So if I go through here, it says missing links found in imported content. So this is a content page where I have some problem with a link that I have to address. So on this, there's a broken link. So right now, realize that just by doing the modules, I didn't transfer any files over. I just did the modules, meaning the shell itself, and it copied the written content, but any attachments, there's supposed to be a file right here of icon. There's a display of a file, right? An image that's supposed to display right here, that broke.
Okay.
So just be careful when you go through, make sure you select all the connecting pieces when you're going through and collecting that content. So yeah.
When you were at the
So when we're going through, and I was saying, so the modules is kind of a preparation as far as Unit 2 is concerned. So when we actually here, so this was my start here. So creating the new module is up at the top right-hand corner. So I'm clicking on the blue button. What? So I'm just creating a new module in general.
Okay.
So I was showing the creation of a new module in general. So module 2 would be, Randy, give me a topic.
Click on modules first and then start an outline.
You would add your name to it. So what's the topic in your class?
Oh, one in my class?
Yeah.
Cardiovascular fitness.
CR cardio fitness. I create that one. Now, no, in this one, it's going to go all the way down to the bottom because I have all these other modules actually created, so I'm collapsing these. So the general idea in the modules unit, once we get to that unit 2, creation of modules, in that modules, they'll go into that, the video that I have there, I encourage everyone to watch, even those that are going to watch this online. So I'm just kind of giving a quick overview of this. So in our cardio fitness module, if I had Randy's outline, or you'd have your outline right next to you, you're going to have a new page. So in your outline, you had, maybe an overview page. And any item that I sat there and said, read in parentheses, when I click on the actual plus button right here.
I think that's what I was looking for. I couldn't get to that part where you
Okay. When I click on the plus button right here, if I had a read item, that's a content page. A graded assignment is assignment, a discussion is a discussion, and then a quiz is a quiz.
Yeah, I was following all of that fine.
Perfect.
But I was wondering
How you got to there?
why I don't have the blue button. Is it too early? You know what I mean?
Are you in your training course or in the actual course?
The training course. I think that's probably why. I'm not in my actual course.
Yeah, you need to be in your
Like
training
instructor,
sandbox. Yeah,
Like I'm just a student.
yeah.
I think that's where it gets confusing sometimes.
I'll make sure and keep that in mind as far as where I'm at.
Yeah, but I was following everything else. I just didn't know I didn't have to do that.
One thing we want to note too, if like a lot of instructors, you might want to do your PowerPoint presentations and stuff like that. And I'll explain this in the next lab, don't use file. Hold off if there's a specific document that you want students to read or something like that. I'm going to hold off on that, and I'm going to explain you how you properly do display files in Canvas. It's 11:30. I could keep talking, but I know you probably have other obligations. So thank you. So I'll try this weekend. I'll make sure and try to get everything graded as soon as I possibly can. I got one more workshop today for an English department, and then I'm going to focus on grading later tonight. So hopefully I can get through that so you can be ready. Otherwise, you got till Sunday to get all your Unit 1 stuff done, and then we should be ready for Unit 2 next week. I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording. Have a good day. Yes, James.
You were mentioning how you changed all the deadlines from Friday to Sunday.
Correct.
If there was one lingering Friday deadline, then I think that's also been changed now.
Where?
I'll go find it if I can.
Okay.
But if I find a Friday deadline, I should just assume it's Sunday.
Yeah, I made that. Yeah, I tried to go through and make sure I covered everything, but if I miss something that says Friday, all of it's Sunday.